Today's session is focused on transitioning your career from print to video storytelling. We have a panel of 4 trailblazing journalists who have crashed through that barrier, picked up new skills in a new phase of their careers, and they're thriving in new roles with Scripps. We're going to meet that panel in a moment, and we'll also leave some time at the end, as Neil said, for questions that you may have. First, I want to do a little background on Scripps. If you're not familiar with our company, we are one of the nation's largest TV broadcasters with 62 stations in 43 markets, dedicated to serving communities with quality, objective local journalism. We also reach nearly every American through our national networks business, which includes news outlets such as Scripps News and Court TV, and entertainment brands such as Ion and Bounce. I don't have to tell anyone here that we're in the state of where we are in the state of the journalism industry right now. Print publications are struggling. People are finding new platforms to consume content, and many media companies are struggling to find ways to monetize those eyeballs in order to survive. Scripps has tried to tackle this uncertainty head on through its news initiative, not by simply addressing the new reality with mass layoffs, but by reimagining the structure of a newsroom, embracing new technology and challenging traditional mindsets. And yes, by doubling down on the journalism. Over the past year, the company has hired more than 150 new reporters at its TV stations and is continuing to significantly add frontline resources to its newsrooms, believing that the path to success and durability is by making yourself more indispensable to the communities that we serve. And along with that commitment to expand the number of journalists is also a venture to increase salaries, because paying reporters more than a living wage and encouraging them to stay in a job beyond one contract is the best way to build expertise and to develop connections with the communities we serve. We've added at least $10 million toward increasing salaries. So another way to evolve is by thinking differently about the people that we have traditionally hired at TV stations. And that's what we're talking about today. I'm going to pass it over to Jim Iovino. Jim is the director of the Journalism Journeys Initiative, which is focused on developing print reporters, and he's going to talk about the program. Jim.
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. Hey, everyone. Nice to see you here. Thanks for joining. Our Journalism Journey Initiative, we are in the 2nd year of our program. You'll meet some of the folks here today who are in that program. Little bit of background myself. I'm a former print journalist myself, started my career in print, then moved over to broadcast. So I've been through this kind of journey myself. And now I'm kind of excited that I can help others along that route. I got into business, had not been in a TV newsroom before. I started in a digital team at a TV station. Had no idea what a VO or a VOSOT was, what a rundown looked like, anything like that. And so I get it. It's a hard transition for a lot of us, but I'm glad that we have a program like this now that can help others really make it a lot easier when they make this switch here. So as I mentioned, we're in the 2nd year of our program now, and the JJI program itself looks for mid-career journalists working in print or digital newsrooms who have a desire to learn new skills and tell stories to new audiences on new platforms. With our program, we provide full-time jobs with the JJI program in either like our local newsrooms across the country or with Scripps News nationally. And then we provide extensive training and mentorship to help folks get all of the skills that they need. They're already great journalists, but we help them figure out how to tell stories to these new audiences using video-driven storytelling across all of our markets there. You'll meet a couple of these folks here today, Brian and Ann, but this was our first cohort from 2023. They are doing great work now in different local and national outlets across the country here. And then we expanded the program even more this year. So we're up to 13 journalists in year 2 of the program. Once again, locally and nationally, we have political reporters. We have Kadia, who you see here, is on the Scripps News disinformation desk. We have investigative reporters, MMJs, folks who are covering the Capitol for a couple of stations. So it's a wide range of folks that we have, but they're doing great work for us already. And they've only been on the job for about 5 months now. So we're really excited about what they're doing. And we're going to continue this going forward. So Marcus, I'm going to send it back to you.
Thanks, Jim. Let's go ahead and meet our panel. We've got 4 veteran journalists who have transformed into video-driven storytellers and are reaching new audiences through their work. I'm going to introduce each panelist. We'll also watch a video example of their recent work and ask each person the same question: what made you make the switch to TV? So our first panelist is Brian Horwath. He's the senior reporter at KTNV TV, the ABC affiliate in Las Vegas. Prior to making that jump to TV, Brian spent 15 years as a newspaper and business trade publication reporter and editor. He covered gaming and tourism for the Las Vegas Sun from 2019 to 2023, which sounds like the best job ever. And he holds a master's degree from South Dakota State University. Let's go ahead and watch a clip of Brian's work.
Vegas judge says a county commissioner acted improperly by deleting text messages about the gypsum project. Our Brian Horwath has the latest in this decades-long saga over a development near Red Rock Canyon.
A developer wants to build hundreds of luxury homes right here on this hill, but the case is tied up in court. This week, a judge says a county commissioner and other county officials acted improperly in relation to the case. Plans for a new neighborhood with hundreds of homes that would overlook the Las Vegas skyline on one side and Red Rock Canyon on the other. The idea, talked about for years, gives many residents in the nearby town of Blue Diamond heartburn, including Diane Lunsford.
This is a unique feature, and do we want visual pollution to interrupt our unique geologic feature? No, we don't want that, not for a minute.
All right, good stuff. Brian, what made you make the switch to TV?
Well, it was too interesting and too good of an opportunity to pass up. I never really thought about getting into TV as a TV reporter. I just, it wasn't something that I thought was really available. I'm in my 40s now, so I'm still of that generation. When I was growing up, I mean, everyone knew the anchor, and they had their favorite anchor and station. And I'm a sports geek, so I knew the sports person for the different channels in the Minneapolis-St. Paul market. So I always thought it would be kind of cool to be on TV. I never seriously thought about going into it, but I as I learned more about this program, I thought, hey, maybe this is something that I can do. And it was still a risk. It was still kind of a leap. I'm really glad that I did it. I've learned a lot about not just this business, but I think a lot about myself and just a lot of other things, how to kind of better work as part of a team as well. So it's something that I didn't really think about it much as an opportunity, but when I learned more about this program, it just sounded really interesting. I thought it was a really good idea to kind of bring folks from the newspaper world, from the print world, which we all know what's been happening for a long time in the print world. So I just thought this was a really, hey, maybe this is something that can really take off. And I mean, there were bumps in the road, certainly early. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to learn. There's a lot of learning experiences, but I'm certainly happy I did it. But it was an opportunity, I think, to answer the question. It's just it was too good and too interesting to pass up.
Yeah, we'll dig into what some of those hurdles were a little bit later. It sounds like you weren't opposed to it. You just never knew that there was a path.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It just wasn't. Again, I think there's a little bit of a stereotypical way that people think about TV reporters and anchors, and I think I was in that camp. So I'm thinking, look, first of all, I don't have great hair. Secondly, I don't know anything about being on camera, and why would I this? And I think those are some of the things where, the folks who put this program together and the folks who run JJI, they have said and reiterated from day one, look, we're interested in the journalism. You'll learn. We'll teach you the TV part. Come over and give this a try. And that was kind of that was really kind of the sales pitch and what folks like Jim and Neil have said since day one.
Great. Thanks a lot, Brian. I think you have great hair. Whoever told you that lied. Let's go on and meet our second panelist. It's Alexis Ramanjulu. Alexis is a reporter at KGUN, the ABC affiliate in Tucson, Arizona. After graduating from Arizona State's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism, she began working as a sports and general assignment reporter for the Herald Review newspaper in a town outside of Tucson called Sierra Vista. She covered news and sports in Cochise County for 3.5 years before taking on her current opportunity with KGUN in 2022. Alexis still lives in and covers Cochise County for KGUN. Let's take a look at some of her work.
We've been on a ride along with the CCSO's criminal interdiction team, and we've got a site that's becoming all too familiar with these deputies.
Cop him. You ready?
A car carrying migrants looking to escape a troubled situation in Mexico.
Deja tu teléfono ahí.
On this night, a man and woman from Mexico who met while walking to the southern border.
Siéntese ahí.
The man says he was a police officer in a municipality near Mexico City. He says he planned his own trip, including purchasing plane tickets and nights at hotels.
It seemed too easy to come here.
Once he was in the U.S., he used an app he thought was for rides not connected to the cartels. Cochise County Sheriff Deputy Brian Lomley says after looking through the migrant's phone, he discovered the migrant's driver had been talking to the cartels, a group the migrant tells KGUN 9 he was running from.
All right, you've jumped right into it on the TV side, doing stories with impact. Alexis, same story for you. What made you make the leap to TV?
Yeah, so I actually went to school for broadcast and ended up in a print newsroom out at college. And so when I left the paper, it was mainly just because I needed a break from journalism and burnout after COVID and stuff. And so when the opportunity came up from KGUN, I figured, why not? Why not try an industry that I thought I wanted to be in and didn't give a fair shot? And so, and it was kind of a win-win. I get to stay in a community that I'd already built relationships and had been a reporter in before. So it really was just a win-win. Why not give it a shot thing for me?
Sure. That's interesting that you obviously wanted to be on TV at first, and then you got the newspaper experience. So I'm going to ask you, what did you learn, what did you learn from the newspaper side that helped you? And are you glad you got that newspaper experience before you jumped over and started doing TV?
I am very glad I got the newspaper experience before I jumped into TV. I tell my colleagues and people around me to this day that being at a local paper has made me a better journalist, just because it helped me build relationships and kind of show me that it's okay to be a real person while being a reporter. Because right out of school, you're just trying to make it, right? You're just trying to they tell you to just build for yourself. So I think being in a hyper local area was really good for me, and working in a print newsroom, one, it just added to my skill set, but two, it let me kind of breathe a little bit as a reporter and build some skills that I didn't have right out of school.
Yeah, I think if we could write a textbook, you almost would want to do that. You would almost want to take the pressure of actually being on TV, worrying about your appearance, worrying about all of that exterior stuff, and just concentrate on the journalism and then build on that later. So I think you got lucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move through to our next panelist. It is Maki Becker. senior reporter for WKBW in Buffalo. Maki was the chief of breaking news and public safety for the Buffalo News before joining Scripps this past January. She was with the newspaper since 2005, covering some of the biggest stories in Western New York, including the capture of a serial killer, the racially motivated mass murder of 10 Black people at a Buffalo supermarket a couple of years ago, and the historic 2022 blizzard. Over 2 decades in print journalism, she's also worked at the New York Daily News and the Charlotte Observer. Let's take a look at some of the work in her new role.
For him to be on Sheffield, they said that's in South Buffalo.
Yeah, off of South Park Avenue.
Somebody had to take him there, because there's no way he could have walked there. He don't know nobody over there. So how did he get there? Somebody took him over there. And why they would kill a kid is beyond me.
Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia tells me finding Jalen's body opens a new phase in the investigation, now considered a homicide case.
Everything is on the table now. Now we have something.
We were here as crime scene technicians and investigators returned to the scene. Now, we talked to a lot of neighbors here on Sheffield. No one wanted to go on camera, but all of them talked about suspicious activity here at this house at 107 Sheffield. Now, one of them talked specifically about that top window in the attic, which is where police said the body was found. And he said that for many, many months, the window was open. The neighbor telling me that window was propped open even during snowstorms. But no one suspected a child's body was up in that attic. Both police and Jalen's grandma are now asking anyone who knows more to come forward.
All right, great stuff, Maki. Same question for you. What made you make the leap to TV? You're on mute.
Hi. So, I think, like a lot of print journalists, you know what's going on with the industry, what was going on with the Buffalo News. I felt more and more obsolete, or like I wasn't connecting, and it felt like print was finishing, it was done, but I wasn't done. I still had stories to tell. I still wanted to do something, and I had started looking around, and then I heard about JJI, and my impression was that you had to, with TV journalism, that I didn't think it was anything I could do at this point in my career, but I also thought, I'd heard about this, but I assumed they would just send you somewhere like, all right, you're going to go to Nebraska or somewhere that wasn't home. And that wasn't going to work for me at all. I have a home, I have a husband, I have kids. I'm very connected to Buffalo now. So, that's what I thought. And then I learned, no, we want you right here. We want you because Buffalo, because journalism, because you're established here. We just want to kind of do like what The Athletic did, right? And then I was like, oh, okay. And then and also what I really liked was that there was training, that there was extensive training and coaching as part of it. Like, I don't think I would have done it without it. And that really appealed to me. I love the idea. It was almost like grad school. Like I didn't go to J school, so I'm like, all right, maybe this is it, all these years later. And that's why I did it.
Is it something that you ever thought that you would do? You've been there since 15 years ago. If you would have said this path, yeah.
Not at all. I mean, maybe right in the beginning of my career, I think people were like, but it always seemed like, well, I always heard the pay was horrible. They're going to send you somewhere crazy. And, I'm not a beauty queen, I'm not, I didn't know anything about video. So it just seemed like it wasn't in my cards,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. We'll dig into that a little bit more, but let's go on to our final panelist, who is Ann Ryman. Ann joined the investigative team at KNTV, the ABC affiliate in Phoenix, in January of last year. Before that, she was an investigative reporter with the Arizona Republic since 2000. She was part of the 2018 Pulitzer Prize winning team in explanatory reporting for a project on the planned wall along the US-Mexico border. She was also part of the team that won a George Polk Award in 2018. She was a Pulitzer finalist in 2014 for breaking news coverage. and started out her career working at daily and weekly newspapers in Arizona and Illinois, where she graduated from Southern Illinois University. Let's take a look at Ann's recent work.
Take a close look. Investigators are looking for two stolen paintings. This one called Oklahoma Cheyenne and this one called Aspens. They're both by famous Western artists, and both of them are tied to one of the biggest art mysteries of our time. They were found in the same home as this painting by the famous artist Willem de Kooning. This painting alone by de Kooning is worth more than $100 million. This is downtown Scottsdale.
They have phenomenal art.
Where an art gallery auctioned off two Western paintings in 2018.
They handle great pieces of work.
No one knew they were stolen.
Now, we don't know where the paintings are today.
Lou Schachter is a writer who helped bring the stolen paintings to light. He stumbled on this mystery while writing about another famous painting, this one by the artist Willem de Kooning. The painting, Women Ochre, stolen from the University of Arizona in 1985, recovered in 2017.
I was sort of fascinated by the story, and I just filed it in the back of my brain.
Lou discovered two other paintings were found in the same New Mexico estate as the de Kooning.
Okay, good stuff. Ann, you worked in newspapers for decades, so I want you to be honest. Your first gut reaction when someone first raised the prospect of doing TV was what?
Well, to be honest, I was like, thanks, but no thanks. And I think I didn't respond to the email even right away. I had to like think it over, and just was really happy in my job at the Arizona Republic, wasn't looking to change. And I remember sending Neil an email back, and I said, I'm not looking to change. I like what I'm doing. But at the very end, I said something like, but I wouldn't be opposed to having a conversation about it. And once I learned more about the program, each time I met with somebody, I got more and more excited about it. And toward the end of it, the interview process, I went out to lunch with the news director here at ABC 15 and the assistant news director. And I really just liked them both off the bat. They wanted to hire for an investigative job, which is what I was doing at the Republic. And I remember leaving that lunch thinking, oh my gosh, if they don't offer me something, I'm going to be really disappointed. And so it has been just a tremendous experience. I have no regrets. And like I said, I was not unhappy at all in my job at the Arizona Republic. I had a great 2 decades worth of work there. I still think very highly of the publication. It was just a matter of wanting to do something a little different. And, video in particular can evoke emotions that in print, it's really harder, if not impossible, to evoke some of the same emotions.
Yeah. And I want to dig into that a little bit more because maybe that's a question for the panel in general. You're still reporting, but it's different kinds of reporting now that you have a focus on video. So for anybody on the panel, how does your approach differ from a story in the video world as opposed that it did in the print world?
Every month or every week or whatever.
I'll take.
So
So
like
one thing
honey, you want
I
me to steal your
really
stuff while
like
you're
is
clicking?
how
It's
we can
okay.
kind of show the
Let's do it.
process of our reporting in our stories, because we almost, like in print, you almost hide it, right? It's like that's not part of it. But it's been really fun to be able to show. It's like, I'm going to go to City Hall and talk to this person, or like, I looked up this document, or like, look at this map, or things like that. That's part of it. And I do find it's fun. It's not, you're not making yourself the story, but you're part of it. You're like a narrator who's bringing somebody along, and that's been something I've really enjoyed.
Great. So that being said, what's been the most difficult part of the transition? What's been the hardest thing for you to learn? Brian, we'll go to you.
A couple things come to mind, but probably the hardest is just getting to that point where you feel comfortable on camera. That wasn't something I was used to. And to look at yourself look at your package after it's done, and you kind of see, oh man, I don't know, I didn't look that great there. I mean, it's really easy to be hard on yourself and to kind of critique, and you're surrounded by these other folks who have been in the business, and like the people that work here. I mean, our anchors, Joe Moeller, Trisha Keith, they're so smooth, so incredibly smooth on air, I mean, there are definitely days when I thought there's no way I can get anywhere close to that level. So I think that was probably the hardest thing. And I don't even think I'm really totally there yet, but I'm not afraid to do any kind of shot, live shot, whatever, in studio. I'll do anything now. I'm not going to be super nervous. There's still some butterflies and stuff, but early on I was really nervous, and it was just really weird to kind of watch your work, watch yourself on camera. And like I said, it's really, really easy to kind of to be hard on yourself and to compare yourself to these other people who have a lot more experience in TV than you have. So I think that took a little time to kind of get past that point, and it took just took practice and people here at my station encouraging me and saying, yeah, that was good, that wasn't too bad. I don't know, they probably didn't even mean it, like I was probably terrible, but they kept encouraging me. And I at some point I just started to believe that okay, maybe I can be like average at this, like maybe I'm not horrible, like I'm still not. I watch these other people on TV, but maybe I can continue to work at this and become serviceable.
It's the hardest thing to do as a reporter, whether you come from print or whether you took broadcast in school. And I was an MMJ when I first started out, and it's like, who else has a job where your apprenticeship is in front of everybody, where you're learning on the job in front of thousands and thousands of people? It's a lot of pressure. So yeah, it's a real thing. Alexis, most difficult part of the transition for you?
For me, it had to be the script writing, and that was a challenge even in school for me. But coming out of print, I started writing my scripts essentially as mini articles, which is frowned upon. So that was the biggest adjustment for me, was making sure I had all of the information I needed, but not going too long in a package. So that way, it's not my newscast. We have other stories too.
Sure.
So
Not writing complete sentences.
yeah. I mean, even getting the edits, I'm like, wait, this is not grammatically correct, but it flows better on TV and when you're tracking. So for me, that's something that I've been working on with my team here at K-Gun, and they have helped me be better. And I look back at old scripts and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I wrote that. So, but for me, that was definitely the biggest thing, was kind of being more effective with my writing and getting the point across a lot faster.
How about writing the video? Sure, writing the video. Anybody on the panel, was that sort of different for you? It's got to be different when you're just writing for an article and now you have to think about the pictures.
I think the writing from video is a big challenge. Yeah, or at first anyway. And also just having the video to, when you write a story, you can call people on the phone and, interview them and then put together your story. Well, for TV, you have to have some video to go with it. So it forces you to kind of think in a different way. And having said that, though, there are ways to be creative. If you don't quite have what you need, you can use some documents, or you can use a graph, or you can get a little creative if you don't have precisely what you need. And I've never been able to not do a story because I didn't have the video. It just was, I had to be creative about it, or maybe do a shorter story.
What about the deadlines, Anne? And I think about you, I'm sure those Pulitzer Prize pieces that you didn't put together in a couple of weeks, right? And you're still on an investigative team in Phoenix, and you have a little bit more time, but is the deadline pressure kind of different working in the TV world than in the newspaper world?
It is a little different. The biggest change might be if you're doing, say, a follow-up to an investigation that you've already done, like so there's some new development that you want to write and get in that day. You know, that can be a faster turn. And you do find yourself getting faster at it, though. At first, I felt really slow. I think my first story package that I did took like a whole week. And, you know, that's the interviews, setting up the interviews, doing them, writing the script, writing the web script. And I didn't even shoot you know, I had a cameraman with me to help with all of that and with the editing. So I didn't even do any of that. But it just seemed like it took me forever. And like, that's a newspaper story where I could have done in a day and a half. But I will say you get much faster real quick. And you have to remember to like focus on the progress you're making. And, you know, so that's kind of your barometer.
Sure, sure. That deadline pressure, because, you know, Anne works in the investigative world, but Alexis, I know you're more day to day. Brian, you're more day to day, and probably Maki. Was there a deadline part of it that was an adjustment for you? Any one of you three?
Absolutely. It is intense being an MMJ. It is way more because you're not just writing a story. You know, it's like, yes, that's just like one little part of it. You know, you got to get the video, you got to write it, you got to get the graphics for it, and then there's like all these things. You know, you have to make sure you've got your supers on top, and script. I mean, it's way more. And really, like, you know, and I think a lot of newsrooms are like this. 9:45 is when your meeting is in the morning. You get your assignment. So you really don't start until at least 10:30. And they want something by 5, you know, something, a beautiful, you know, a minute and a half to 2 minute little movie, really, you know, and it's a lot, you know, and it's much more demanding. I was surprised at how demanding it is, and how like intense the pressure it is to get things out. I mean, I've written stories on deadline before, and you know that, but it's a whole, because it's like your whole body's part of it, right? So that's been an adjustment for sure.
Yeah. So some of you have alluded to this already about the support and resources that you've had that have helped you get to the point where you are now. Can any of you be more specific about, in terms of the support that you've received, what has been the most helpful for you?
I think you have two types of support in this program. You've got the support not only from the JJI training, but then you also get training at your station, or if you're with Scripps News, you would get station training through Scripps News. You also have a mentor who works closely with you that you can go to for any questions. That's been tremendously valuable. And I also will say, you know, people have, if I have a question on something, even if it's like a question that takes 5 minutes, people are very willing to help you out. You quickly become part of the newsroom, you know, where you're working, and everybody wants to see you succeed. So there's a lot of help that they give you.
And I'm not in the JJI program per se, but I agree with Anne. I mean, we've had trainings from corporate leaders to help us with new strategy, and I think that's been extremely helpful to me, to kind of get on board and kind of learn what goes into the story, what Scripps is looking for, what our station's looking for, because we are thinking different. We are thinking creatively now with our packages. So, but I echo what Anne says. My newsroom has been super supportive of me and helping me, like I said, with writing and making sure my video is matching the scripts and that we're not taking 2-minute packages when it could be 1:30. So the support has been probably the best thing part of this transition, because they're there for you and they want you to succeed.
Yeah. Question that I want to ask each one of you. What was your aha moment about, and was there an aha moment where you sat back after you did all of the training and everything that you said, hey, this was a good decision. I'm glad I did that. Does everybody have an aha moment? Anne?
I think mine was just, there's a lot of power in video, and also like holding people accountable. You have that somewhat in print, but it's very powerful when you can go to a meeting with a camera and show up in somebody's face who has been avoiding your calls, right? And then they're forced to like either talk to you or turn their back on not only you, but the viewers and the people who are asking questions. And that's something that you couldn't get in print. And as a result of that, I think sometimes you can see results from your stories maybe faster. Certainly, you know, they know you're gonna show up at the meeting or show up and confront them if they, you know, try to avoid you.
Yeah, the power of the camera certainly is a thing. Maki, your aha moment?
I've had a few and with stories that I had written for print or followed at the Buffalo News and then brought them to Channel 7 here in video. And it was so interesting to look at it from a different perspective in a different way. And it was, and that's felt good because I was, you know, building on my background, on my knowledge, on my journalism, on like what I know. And then, but being able to then like pull in like, all right, oh, but now I'm going to do this interview by video. And, you know, I did that, the clip you saw, that was a boy who had been missing since 2020. And it's kind of wild. Like, back in, I think it was March, I did a story. I actually got the detectives because I knew they were kind of putting more attention on it. I say, hey, let's do a story. Let's say, you know, where is this kid? Where is this kid? And then a month later, his body turns up, which was crazy, you know, but I already had all that background. I had the connections with the family, with the cops and everything. And that was like a really exciting, and interesting way to, you know, it was great. It was great. I felt like, all right, this is coming together, all those things that are supposed to happen through JJI, right? So things like that, that's been cool.
Great. Brian, aha moment.
Yeah, it was it was one of my first live shots. It was about a year ago. So I was what, you know, I don't know, 4 months in, whatever it was. I hadn't been on screen very much. There was a late breaking thing that happened like late in the afternoon, and they sent me out for a live shot. And so I'm literally like looking at the document or whatever it was, you know, trying to familiarize myself with it as we're heading out to the spot where we were going to go. And I hardly had any time. You know, I was like writing this Vosot at kind of like on the fly and, you know, trying to get it approved. And it was pretty stressful. When we get out there, it's hot, you know, or it's Las Vegas. It was just starting to get hot outside. So I'm kind of like starting to sweat a little bit, you know, and it was leading, I think, the 5 o'clock show. And, you know, I really wasn't sure what all was going to happen. You know, I was really kind of nervous about it. And it went off. I went on. Everything clicked. You know, it felt pretty good. And you know, I just knew it wasn't a disaster. And you sort of like replay in your head, like, all right, what, you know, what did I say? Did I say the right thing there for this? And I got a text like a couple minutes later from the anchor back in the studio from Joe Moeller, and he said, hey, nice job. That was really good. And that just kind of, you know, it kind of clicked that, oh, okay, I can do this. It's not super easy, but I can do it, you know, and that just that text, that little bit of encouragement, he probably doesn't even remember that he did that. But it kind of, it was like, okay, I do know that I can do this now, and I'm sure I'll make mistakes or whatever, but that wasn't so hard that I wouldn't be able to do that going forward.
Okay, we're going to go to questions in a moment. Alexis, real quick, your aha moment.
To keep it brief, I don't think I really have one. Like everybody said, it kind of just hits you. I remember just reading a script and watching back a final package earlier this year, and I was like, wow, I don't actually suck at this. So, you know, I think it's just a constant like, okay, I can do this. And you see the good work that you're doing and the impact it's having, that kind of just makes you keep going and know that this was a good fit.
Great. Okay. I understand we got a bunch of questions coming in. Maybe if we leave a couple of minutes at the end, because I would love for each panelist to give their advice to the group. But Neil, I'll kick it over to you for questions from the group.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the Q&A. The first one's from Albert, and this is for any and all of you. How do you master the stand-up presentation?
You just keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. That's it.
Yeah, practice makes perfect. I don't know if I'm even mastered it yet. You know, you're constantly learning and trying new things. So, and you have team support too to help you out. So.
And just watch what other people do. You know, take someone that you think does a really good job and watch what they do with their hands, with their presentation, with whatever. I mean, that's kind of like what I did.
I agree with everything everybody said. They also do provide some training on that. So you do get training.
And I always like to say, use your surroundings. Start off every stand-up. Where am I and why am I here? And use your surroundings, and that usually gets you out the door.
All right, so Macy wants to know script writing versus writing for print. Was that transition difficult, having to make stories brief and more condensed?
Yes.
Yes, it is. But again, you have your producers and you have experienced reporters who can help you out. But I think the biggest thing, at least for me, like I said earlier, was just kind of sticking to what was important. Some of that fluff for introduction stuff leading into the facts isn't necessarily what you want. And remembering that the key is the emotion we talked about, which comes from the people you're talking to. So making them more of the focus than the text or the track that we write.
So this one's from Samantha. I was recently laid off from a newspaper I was working at due to downsizing, and I'm looking to transition to broadcast. Despite my written storytelling skills and passion for the industry, I'm finding it hard to have an advantage over other applicants because I don't have much on-camera experience. How can I have a competitive edge in the application process with Scripps for open roles against those who already have multimedia experience? And Jim or Marcus, you want to take a crack at that one?
So, you know, we know that, you know, a lot of folks who apply for a program like JJI, they have no like on-camera experience. And I don't know, raise your hand here, Alexis, you probably did from school, but anyone else actually have on-camera experience, right? No, I don't think so, right? You know, that's why we're here. We can teach you those things. You know, if you have the journalism experience, if you know journalism, if you know a good story, that's what we're looking for. And we can teach you the other stuff as you go through the program like ours.
And I think sometimes it's as easy as showcasing that you at least have some sort of comfort level on camera. So can you pick up a phone and do a stand-up or showcase that you're somewhat comfortable talking on camera? At least as a starting point.
Let's see. Abdul Aziz asks, what's the one thing you still miss from print that you think is missing in broadcasts?
Going in depth, like a long story, you're just not going to do that. You're just not, you know. But what's also cool, and I learned this from Anne, you know, if it's an investigative piece, you can't do like the big ball. But you could take a little piece of it and turn it into a really interesting story. Like you can get one document and be like, hey, look what I found. And you can build something around that. And then the next day you do something else from it, you know, or a different aspect of it, or you get a different interview. And so there's ways, it's just really, really different.
Does digital give you the opportunity to scratch that itch then too, to kind of break that out?
Hey, you can, you know, sometimes there's those little things like, oh, I wish I could get in, but it really feels very secondary. The digital story is, you know, I think you still want to keep that tight. You know, I don't think there's an appetite for the wall of text. And that's true for newspapers too, frankly. I think people think that people want to read and read and read and like, oh, you look at it, look at how long people spend.
I'll be honest with you guys, I don't miss print.
I don't either. I think the only thing would be not having as much gear, but you kind of get used to that.
I actually kind of think coming from print, you may have an edge in the factor that you're used to working a beat. And in TV, depending on the role you take, they may not be as beat oriented, but it does give you an edge if you're in the community already and you get a job in TV because you know like different areas and you can pull stories from different beats that you've had in the past. And I think that definitely makes you strong as far as story ideas and what you're working on.
Just curious, for those of you who are working, and I think most of you working in the same place where you used to work in newspaper, do your sources respond to you differently now that you're working for a TV outlet instead of a newspaper? Is that different?
I personally, I found I get calls back a lot faster. And then also people are just, I think print is high profile and TV even maybe a little more so depending on your community. The TV stations here are instantly recognizable, to people, which is when you call somebody, they know who you are. They know ABC, or they'll know, if you work for a CBS station, NBC, Fox, like they're very familiar. Like you don't have to explain who you are. They know you. So I do find I get calls returned a lot faster.
I agree.
So Starletta asks, how much did your news voice, including the types of stories and beats, change after joining the broadcast newsroom? What was that transition like?
I would say my beat area expanded a lot. Like I'm able to write a lot more topics than I did when I was at the newspaper, because the newspaper had very defined beats. And so, sometimes you would work on an investigation, but if you were on somebody's beat, you would team up with them. But now I can pretty much write, it's almost infinite. And we also get tons and tons of calls from people and emails. Like I have never in my life had so many potential story ideas. It's just like it's deciding which ones I can do and which ones I feel are legitimate and hard hitting, investigations.
Anyone else want to take a crack at that one? Okay. This is you don't have to get too specific in answering this question. This was from an anonymous attendee. But how are you finding the salaries at your current roles as compared to print? And you can go beyond salaries to benefits and that sort of thing. Is it a better, more profitable future? Was this what this person asked?
I'll say my salary is higher. The healthcare, I would look at that, make sure that's something and in general, like if you're gonna do this, get to know the station that you would be at. Like talk to people who work there, talk to the news directors, like get a better sense for everything, but like including this though. But I did find this, it was a bump. It was a bump for me.
I'm going to piggyback off that, but it was a bump for me as well. But I think it goes back to what Marcus had said earlier with the investment in journalism and investing in reporters by Scripps. So I think that shows that they value us, and that's kind of why I guess we're saying we've got an increase too.
Yeah, I mean the package was pretty attractive. That's one of the reasons also why I did this. And I was actually kind of surprised at the time. But I mean, I think if you look at what Scripps is doing, they're not just saying, oh, journalism is important to us. They're putting money behind that. And, so I think that counts for something. I mean, money talks in whatever, industry you're talking about. And clearly they're putting resources into reporter positions. So that kind of speaks for itself, I think.
So Debbie asked, this is specific to the JJI program, and I can actually take this one. What are some of the qualifications needed to apply for the JJI program? We're generally looking for veteran print journalists who've been covering a community or covering a beat for, generally speaking, at least 5 years. That's, we have folks in our program who've been doing this for more than 30 years. But that's kind of our range, 5 to 30 plus years. So outside of that, each station, each individual opening has their own qualifications, and what I can broadly say is we're looking for storytellers. Marcus, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about the types of people that are non-traditional that not only are we looking for, but we've hired. I know we've hired some teachers and mailmen and stuff like that who we've taught how to be journalists.
Yeah, what I'll say to that is that we're open to different types of people, because I think the important thing is that we have people who actually want to stay in communities. As you mentioned, Alexis isn't part of the JJI program, but I was part of some research that we did on rural viewers, and I was out in Cochise County where Alexis covers, and it was kind of an aha moment when we were talking to people out there who never see a TV reporter. And I know I was with your GM at the time, and it was, we need somebody out here. We need someone to talk to these folks. And sometime later we found Alexis, and I'll ask Alexis, what is it like for you to cover communities where they never see a TV reporter, and then you also have some of those connections already?
So that's kind of how it was pitched to me too, right? It was after this research, this job. And that, I guess, attracted me to it more because they said that people only saw TV reporters in Cochise County if something bad was happening. And I've lived here obviously for a while now, and we've got a lot of good now, and so that needs to be shown too. So people in this community have reacted way better than I thought they would. So they come up and thank me and thank the station for taking this neighborhood news approach and covering Cochise County, because they feel like they're finally heard. They feel like their stories are finally important enough to make Tucson news. And so it's been a very positive reaction that I've seen and I've gotten so far. People are just excited to have another outlet that is interested in sharing what's happening in rural Arizona.
Yeah, I think there's a unique opportunity right now as more newspapers are dying and we're creating news deserts all over the country, how local TV can help fill those gaps, because there are still people who deserve coverage, and we need folks out there. And I think newspapers are the perfect types of people who already live in those communities and will stay in those communities.
So I'll do one more question, and then Marcus, you can do your wrap-up question for the panel. This is from Johnny. Do you find that in TV the work is more of a collaborative process compared to print, where it can be more of a solo process?
Absolutely. And that was another one of those changes that I feel like I had to get used to. A lot of times, in the print world, you're just maybe like working with your editor, or maybe you work you set up like a photo shoot or something like that, but it's usually just kind of like you and maybe another person or another couple people. Here there's all these different departments, and there's different moving parts, so you definitely have to be kind of in contact, communicating with a bunch of different people on some different levels. That was different. That took a little bit of getting used to.
Okay, with the time that we have left, I just wanted to ask that kind of wrap up question. What advice do you have from your experience? What advice do you have for our folks who are joining us on the session, who are thinking about making that jump from print to TV? I'll start with Ann.
My advice would be, even if you're just like have a slight interest in it, like I did, but wasn't sure I wanted to change or anything, I would, have a conversation about it and pursue that. And as someone else pointed out, get to know the station in your market, that kind of thing, familiarize yourself with that. And just like, it's just important to kind of, just kind of take the time to like figure out, ask your questions. We're available too if you have questions. Just by having a conversation, you're not committing to anything. You're just finding out like kind of if the program might be well suited for you or not.
Yeah, don't be afraid to have that conversation. Answer your email, right, Ann? Answer the email when it comes. Brian, advice?
I would just say, don't not try to do this because you think you can't do it. Because I would say it's very, very likely that you can. So, if you don't throw your hat in, if you don't pursue this, do it because it's not a right fit for you geographically, whatever, something else. If you're wondering if you can do this, I think you can, and people will help you along the way, and you'll get to that point.
Great. Alexis.
I just echo what they said. I mean, it's worth having the conversation, even if you're slightly interested. I echo Anne, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, but it's worth getting to know the station that's near you and making sure it's a good fit. But we've also had support from our stations and from Scripps itself that is making us transition a little bit easier. So I just say, go for it. It's worth a conversation. It's worth something to look into.
Yeah, I would say not to be deterred if you do reach out to some of those stations. Not everybody is open to what we're doing. It's a very unique thing that we're doing in Scripps, and a lot of stations are still very invested in breaking news, and if it bleeds, it leads, and that sort of thing, and aren't really thinking about that community connection. So keep pushing. Maki, please close us out. What advice do you have for the group?
So this would be specifically like if you're interested in JJI, I would say, because you're probably going to stay in your community, talk to the news manager, talk to the reporters. There are, find out what it's like there, but also find out what they want you to do. There are different roles, and I didn't really understand this at all. There's, what being an MMJ, so the multimedia journals where you do everything. You shoot, you edit, you write, you do everything by yourself. And then there are people who are investigative reporters who are part of a team. Like, it depends on the station. They're all really, really different. They have very different personalities. I love where I am. I get a lot of support. I have wonderful coworkers who are teaching me all sorts of stuff all the time. And it's, and I get the JJI stuff too, but like, it does help to know, because I think some people didn't know what they were coming into, and it, there've been different experiences for some people. For me, it's been very positive. And yes, please reach out to me. We all are first name, last name with a dot in between, and our station, right? So feel free, if you have any questions, reach out.
Thank you very much. Thank you to our panel. Thank you for your time and for all of your advice. I want to pass it off to Neil to close us out.
Absolutely. So again, thank you all for attending. It was a really great discussion. Like the good former TV producer I am, I like to keep things tight to an hour. So if you want more information, please feel free to reach out to me. That QR code on your screen actually links to my Calendly, so you can schedule some time to speak with me more about the Journalism Journey Initiative. I can also talk to you a little bit more about other journalism opportunities at Scripps. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me, or Jim, or Marcus at just our first name dot last name at scripps.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.